Colo mentality. If you say you be colonial man, you don't be slave man before. They don't release you now, but you never release it yourself. After talk say you never release it yourself. Colo mentality. If you say you be colonial man, you don't be slave man before. They don't release you now, but you never release it yourself. Hello, my Nigerian people. In the spirit of Fela Kuti, I bring you this message: colonial mentality. I want to tell you today that the problem that the African continent faces is because the so-called leaders that we have right now are people with a colonial mindset. These are individuals who have never released themselves and their minds from the shackles of colonialism. These are people who don't actually see themselves as Africans. These are people who see themselves as Arabs and as Europeans. These are people who are quick to adopt European lifestyles, European ideologies, and European way of life. Let me tell you something. If your president enacts a policy that is dictated by a body in Europe, like the IMF, or by a body in America, like the World Bank, that leader does not have the interest of his people or our people at heart. That leader is only acting as a stooge to the European and American powers. In the case of Nigeria, the IMF told the president, the current president, Tinubu, to do something. And quickly, without even thinking about the repercussion or the impact of such policy on his people, he went. And he did what he was told to do because he's their boy. He's a stooge. He could be 90 years old or 80 years old or 70 years old. And one would think people like that should have the wisdom to lead their nation to the promised land. But when you have somebody who is a stooge of the West, that person will only enact policy that is going to favor the West. And the West does not want Nigeria to be a thriving country. They don't. They don't care about the welfare of the Nigerian people. So the crop of leaders that we have, you see, they are old people. Their worldview has been, given to them by the Westerners and by the Arabs. And that's why it is so hard for them to, break off from such ideologies. They don't see their common man or their fellow man as people that they have to help. They don't see education and health as a priority. They don't see the security of their people as a priority because of external influences acting on them to act in a particular way. And that's why it's so hard for them to enact good policies that is going to be beneficial to the common Nigerian. And that's why we are all suffering. So my message today is for the Nigerian youths. We need to start educating ourselves. We need to start reading. And these new ideas that we form have to be African in its origin. We have people, like esteemed intellectuals. We have Awolowo. As a Nigerian, you should read the autobiography of Awolowo. You should take a look at his policies, what he did when he was the premier of the Old Western region. 40% of the budget went to education. The teachers in Nigeria at that time were like the highest paid professionals in Nigeria. If you have a budget that has been passed by the House of Assembly and the education is not even up to 10%, and the healthcare budget is not even up to 10%, then you know something is wrong. Something is wrong. We need a government that is going to spend a lot of its resources on educating the people. Because if the people are educated, if the people are enlightened, the people will be able to hold them into account. But they know that an educated and an enlightened nation is difficult to govern. And that's why in a country like Nigeria, you're going to have a large majority of the people not educated. Even the educated ones are not enlightened. This is done by design. It is done on purpose. The purpose is to keep people intellectually shallow. So when they talk to them about ethnicity and religion, it's going to be easy for them to be cajoled. That's what we're facing. And that's why I don't want the youth of Nigeria to fall victim into this narrative that some tribe is responsible for the problem that we are facing, or some people who follow a religion are the ones that are responsible for the problems that we are facing. We need to start educating one another. The successful ones amongst us should start building libraries. If you make your money, you get your bag full of money. The first thing you should be doing, apart from, taking care of yourself and your family, is to make sure you build a library in your village. So the people who don't have the means to go to school can go to your library and read. Put books in there that is gonna, teach them about their culture, the African culture, the Yoruba culture, and books that have the autobiographies of Awolowo, people like Azekwe, the books that Chinua Achebe wrote, the books that Wole Soyinka wrote, those books, African books, so that the average African who can't afford to go to school can go to your library because it's free, pick up these books and read. And one thing is certain: once people start reading and their minds start opening up, it's going to be easy for them to see what's going on in the society, so they can understand the games that the politicians are playing on them. Our revolution in Nigeria must come from an intellectual basis. Intellectualism must be the foundation on which the struggle is going to be built. If we start reading about, African ideologies from Africans, people like Gaddafi, the Green Book is a book that he wrote, the Green Book by Gaddafi. Read about Awolowo, Inyerere. Read about the works and the legacy of Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana. Read about these people. So when we start talking, we can, start talking about a vision that we want. This is how Nigeria should look like, and this is what we must do as a people to get there. If you have any government that is not talking about education, that is not talking about healthcare, that is not talking about power supply, that government is just, dribbling you. We want to shore up the dollar supply in the system. We want to, they talk about stupid policies. We need to start talking about the state governors, investing in agriculture. Let's have the state governors, building farm settlements in their states, so that each state can have 2, 3, 4 cash crops that they are planting, that the people can actually buy in affordable at affordable rates, so that they can eat. We have arable land in Nigeria. We shouldn't be hungry. Let's start talking about power supply from the state, from the local government. We have mini grids. Let's have these local governments generating power from the wind, from the sun. And let's start having these conversations about the local government, building schools so that people can be educated. Healthcare. I'm not talking about small buildings, big health facilities built by local governments. We need to bring the government closer to the people. This is what we need, local government autonomy. We need to start talking about things that is going to improve our lives. We need to stop dribbling ourselves. And our artists, our young artists, please, can we start singing about songs that is going to open the minds of our people? Can we start singing about, people forming ideologies instead of just, concentrating on sex and the number of girls you slept with or the drinks that you like? Let's start talking about ideals. Let's start talking about the culture that we have, the African culture, and let's bring each other up so that Africa and the African people can enjoy in this century that we have. We must live to see an Africa and a Nigeria that works for everybody. Thank you.